Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday evening's Reflection on the Rock. And we're going to continue our series here on ways in which Scripture has affected and impacted and even transformed some of us in Covenant Church or beyond. And so today we're really very excited to have Josh Oteme with us. Josh is a member of Covenant. And I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself. He gets to teach me French on a Sunday morning when I come and say bonjour and how are you, and then he answers me in a great long string of French that I have to understand. So it's good. It's wonderful. It's kind of fun. So Josh, welcome to Covenant's Evening on the Rock. And tell us what Scripture has been meaningful to you.
All right, thank you, Reverend Scott. I mean, it's a pleasure being here, and thank you for inviting me to have this little conversation. Yes, I have a couple verses here of Scripture that I've selected. I would say Scriptures that, in a way, marked me.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one here is coming from Mark, chapter 12, and starts with 29 and goes all the way to 31st, where the scribe were asking Jesus about the commandment and asked that question. Which of these commandments you're talking about? Which one is the greatest?
Of all the hundreds of commandments there
Yes.
are.
Which one is the greatest?
Yes.
And Jesus just turned to him and he said, and I'll read it if you allow me. The 29 says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one." And then number 30, he said, "You shall love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength." And he said,
what part of all don't you understand?
That's the thing. I mean, not a little bit. It is all.
Wow.
All. You put all in it.
Yeah.
This is a challenge, right?
Yes.
And then he goes on, in the last one, he said, the second one is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these two. I said earlier, it's a challenge. All right, you've put in the love of God, you put yourself, all yourself, your mind, your being, and etc. But that's not enough.
Yeah.
You go further and he says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, the word there is love.
Yeah.
And love doesn't have any limit. It is a way of doing a spirit, a mindset.
Yeah.
So you have it. You need to be humble to love.
Yes.
And more so, if you have to love someone just like you do. I mean, everyone loves themselves. So they cannot do evil to themselves. Consequently, they will never do evil to people or the neighbor, the sister, the brother. So to me, this is very important, and that tied me to another verse here, another book here, which is in Matthew, where he said, and I'm going to read that, and I'll give you my impression onto all those.
Yeah.
In Matthew, the book 5, chapter 22, but the key in those verses will be 23 to 26. And
this
then,
is part of the Sermon on the Mount, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Jesus is in full preaching mode.
Exactly, on the mountain, and his disciples surrounding him and asking questions. And he said, in verse 22, he said, "I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or a sister, you will be liable to judgment. If you insult a brother or a sister, you'll be liable to the council." And he goes on. He goes on 23, he said, so when you are offering your gift at the altar, and then you remember that your brother or your sister has something against you, leave it right there. Stop there. Go and reconcile yourself with your brother or sister, and then you can come to present your gift.
Wow.
Now, this is very, I would say, humbling. Now, the scripture here, Jesus is not saying, if your brother or sister has something against you, I mean, if you have something against them.
Right, that's one thing. But if I have to know that somebody else has something against me.
Against me, this is very important. Because, and what it takes, I think it takes humility.
Yeah.
Just to, first of all, admit that, okay, the brother or sister who has has something against me, that person is necessarily suffering from not being in harmony with me. That's one thing.
Right.
But if someone lacked humility would have said, okay, if they have something against me, that is the problem.
Oh,
you see?
Yes.
Why should I have to worry about it?
Because you're supposed to love your neighbor.
Exactly.
Oh.
You're supposed to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And then love does not keep record of everything,
Right.
Doesn't keep record, doesn't keep grudging and everything.
Oh, right.
So you need to be open, humble to admit that. Even if I give to God all my being, all my soul, or my everything, then I'm not perfect. Because some people have something against me.
Yeah. So I can, oh my goodness.
So have to reflect and go back and say, okay, if I'm not perfect, I need somehow to be humble enough to understand what is going on and admit
and to go and fix it.
And go and fix it. Because that love that Jesus was talking about is a love that can bring harmony, the full harmony in a community.
Oh my gosh.
With a community, then there will be a big problem.
Wow.
So, see, the two key words that I take here are, I retain it will be love, forgiveness, and then humility.
Humility. Yeah, because you said you can't love without being humble, because you have to recognize that other being, that other person.
Exactly.
And if you love God, you're pretty small anyway. You're pretty humble
anyway. That's the thing. And we could push the reflection further, saying, okay, now we said we love God, or we say I love God with all my being, with all my soul, with all that I can have, but I don't see God. I cannot see God, right?
Right.
I see my brother or sister. If I don't love him, how would I claim that I love God?
Because that person was also made in God's image.
Exactly. For God, or here Jesus, to tag those persons as my brothers or sisters, it means that we have the same, or we've been made of the same material and everything.
Yeah.
So we are alike.
Right.
Otherwise, if I have to love that person as myself, I have to admit that that person is made just like me.
Uh-huh.
All right. So this is where it starts.
Wow.
So so these are the two scriptures. The very first one, and to me that leads to the other one that somehow connects to it.
Because if you're going to claim that you love, then you have to look like you love. You have to behave like you love.
Exactly. And then in places I've been, they say, okay, love, just like peace, is not. It's a mindset. It's something that you have to live.
Yeah.
On a day by day.
Right.
Otherwise, you're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss it. So we need to fully live what we profess, what we confess, and everything.
Yeah, this is rich for me, because just today, I was reading something from Richard Rohr about love and loving, how our ability to love. You could start with loving God,
Yeah.
but then it has to grow, because as you said, you can't look at your neighbor and not love them, because if you say you love God, it sort of does have expanding.
Correct.
And one of the things you said was about when somebody's got something against you, there's a lack of harmony between us. And he quoted somebody from the 12th or 13th century, and I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something about a harmony of goodness.
Right.
And the harmony of goodness is that how can we love is to want good for the other.
Correct.
And when your good and my good can be in harmony, that's when love is most expressed.
And I would say somehow love that brings harmony is contagious.
Yeah.
It is. Because you live in an environment or a community where people can freely talk to each other.
Yeah.
People can freely share. You can see that love, that communion between them. Then, I mean, it brings happiness to some people who are watching it.
Yeah.
And then it brings you, I would say, comfort for, to belong to that community. So to me, it's very important. I would say it is the foundation of, life that people are living all together in. Otherwise, well, we see what is going on around us.
Yeah.
We see
With a lack of love.
Exactly. And then mostly lack of not looking at what the brother or sister might have against us. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because if I don't take time to understand or to even feel that I have a neighbor who's not pleased with me, then I'm missing the whole point. And then if, we remember that, okay, being upset, it's a big job. It's a burden. Because we need to process that, anger and everything. I would say from the stand of, from the biological stand, I would say this is a lot of energy spent for nothing.
Yeah.
If someone,
and it does tend, that bad energy, negative energy is also contagious.
Of course. Because you see someone who is not happy, with us, or we did something they don't appreciate, they don't like, but they don't have the necessary strength to say that I was offended. I mean, for us to know that, to know about that offense, we need to lower ourselves.
Yeah, that's the humility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then from there on, then we will understand. And we'll create back all this harmony in the society. We live together and it's good.
Yeah.
It is really good.
It is. When it works, it's great.
Oh yes. When it works, it is very great.
Yeah.
It is great.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh.
No
Thank
problem.
you. That's just wonderful.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you
Thanks
for
all
having
for watching, and we'll be back next week. But in the meantime, don't forget we do evening prayer on Wednesdays and Friday nights. Good night.